When the Chicago scene lost Bloodhound Lil Jeff, many people thought the city would finally be safe from this new breed of genetically modified crash outs. You know, the type of dudes who do drills and casually boast about it on IG Live.
I told y'all, 24 hours. Call him, ask him what happened, what's wrong with him, check on him, check on that man.
The type of dudes who literally post themselves spinning in ops neighborhoods with no regard for the law, then act surprised when the police solve the case. I swear, bro, these type of dudes gotta be made in a lab or something, bro. Like, we thought maybe, just maybe, the city of Chicago would finally turn a new leaf. However, it's looking like things just got worse. Instead of the normal type of gang activity where friends and ops are closely defined, one drill rapper by the name of GKANE has become infamous for being the new backdoor king, known throughout the city as Mr. 24 hours, gaining his crazy nickname by literally telling people they got 24 to 48 hours to live before he spins on you.
48 hours on my son, passing his ass.
He just got hit with wild charges that accuse him of actually handing out a gift bag in literally less than 2 business days in real life. No Amazon Prime shit.
Out of the state of Illinois for first-degree murder. Are you waiving formal extradition?
Go home? I mean to go back to Chicago.
Yeah.
Bro might just be Satan's greatest disciple at this point, because I can't remember a time where I've seen someone in court react to their new charges as nonchalant as this. You see old dude to the left of him? Bro thought his own charges were crazy, but he had to do a double take when he saw the dude next to him casually getting extradited to Cook County Jail to fight murder charges. In some not so shocking news this week, Mr. 24 Hours was charged for allegedly taking out one of Chicago's most notorious gang members and drill rappers, 800 TJ, last year in a brazen broad day shooting on the E-way. And instead of just laying low, bro apparently decided to make it easy as possible to follow along with a damn near play-by-play of the entire incident before and after. Bro straight up had a damn near recap 2 hours later like a post-game interview or some shit. But when you sit and you really think about this amount of sheer disregard for life, it's kind of otherworldly, I can't even lie. So today we gotta tap into this crazy situation, the wild beef that got GKANE aka Mr. 24 Hours locked up for really spinning in less than 2 business days and apparently taking out 800 TJ right now. But before we do, gang, I'm gonna need you to tap into the merch right now. We got new tees that we just dropped that are super fire, man. Make sure you check in with that, hoodies and everything on deck. Make sure you hit that notification bell so whenever I post, y'all tune in right away, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And we're gonna get into the whole reason everything went down in chapter 1, Backdoor Capital USA. I'm not sure there's any official murder stats that represent the backdoor capital of the United States, but if I were a betting man, I bet that the city of Chicago is the backdoor capital of this nation. Within the city where you can't trust anyone around you, there was a rapper and a driller by the name of 800 TJ, straight known as the original king of backdoor by many people in his circle. Though off rip, I don't even know how you can have a circle if you out here double crossing and triple crossing like it's all good. He had his own notoriety based off an ongoing war with members of the 079 Bloodhounds, aka Lil Jeff and them. Crazy enough to think about it, there was a time when 800 TJ and Mr. 24 Hours were once locked in and cool. 800 TJ would just be seen playing GKANE's music like a couple months before he ended up passing. Well, it doesn't really make sense how things could change so rapidly in the wrong direction without context. When we look at the structure of gangs in the city and the history of hyper violence within these neighborhoods, we'll be able to see the real reason why he was taken out and everything that led up to this right now. So for 13 straight years, the city of Chicago has had the highest number of homicides out of every city in America. Oftentimes, I feel like people are desensitized to the tragic state of some of the areas in the city, that they ignore these figures and just assume it's a problem that will never be fixed. But when you really tap in and check the root issues, you'll see that this is all by design. While many parts of the Midwest stayed stagnant for the beginning of the 1900s, Chicago experienced a huge population growth because of the abundance of high-paying jobs at factories and rail yards. But as the population grew, gangs started popping up to try to take control of the lucrative underworld and prohibition. This shit is not new. This gave birth to the first gangs in the city trying to run up a bag on bootlegging while alcohol was illegal. First, it was a Chicago outfit of Italian gangs like the 5 Point gangs, aka Al Capone, straight wreaking havoc with drive-bys and broad day murders. Shit kinda sounds familiar. As the century continued, more black people began migrating from the South to avoid Jim Crow and get work opportunities. However, as they came and tried to look for new opportunities, the government used a tactic called redlining to force black folks into either being able to buy homes and property property in certain neighborhoods, specifically the South and the West. They then pretty much abandoned these neighborhoods while fully funding white neighborhoods on the north sides and the far suburbs, essentially causing generations of high crime that we're affected by today. Around the 1950s and 60s, that was the point where the black gangs started forming to protect their neighborhood. One of these gangs was formed in the West Side by a guy named James Caldwell in 1954, and he decided to call it the Egyptian Cobras. Shit was looking good for them at the time until they started beefing with a gang called the Clovers, which would eventually join in an alliance with Vice Lord Nation and was stepping on shit. This forced the Cobras to move to the South Side neighborhood of Woodlawn to start fresh. They eventually started an alliance with the Black P Stones and changed their name to the Mickey Cobras, or people just called them Snakes for short. Time went on and more races got gangs, and fast forward to 25 and Chicago was the most gang infested city in the US. The Mickey Cobras are still very much alive in today's time though. A particular clique called 800, where 800 TJ is from, is really regarded as one of the most hated gangs in the city, while other gangs within Woodlawn and other close by neighborhoods were focused on the rap more than drilling and started to make a name for themselves in the music world. Members of 800 were pretty much known for just drilling and beefing, but one infamous member named Big Mike attempting to spin on FBG Duck's house to a bunch of notable other crazy incidents. They were straight up pretty much just crash outs that just happened to rap. Members of 800 were just known for pretty much beefing with everyone. At the same time though, in the Inglewood area of the South Side was a Black P Stone affiliated gang out of the 55th to 63rd area called G Street, Mo, or NLC, No Love City for short. This is where GKANE, aka Get Wild Kane, is from. Historically, Inglewood and Woodlawn gangs have had different beefs within neighborhoods because they're so close. However, these particular gangs were actually tight at one time because of that whole alliance that I was talking about before between the Black P Stones and the Mickey Cobras. But one apparent incident in a gun deal gone wrong made the beef go from 0 to 100 in just a matter of hours. And we're gonna get into how exactly that happened in chapter 2, 800 and Mo. Pretty much members of both gangs were forced into a life of crime, violence, and death at a young age. With very few opportunities going on in these South Side neighborhoods, the family members around them getting killed or locked up, most of these members jumped off the porch and did exactly what they saw going on around them. Groups of kids would pretty much lose their innocence at a young age, already having to tote guns for protection or drilling by the age of 13 in most of these neighborhoods. They eventually grew up older, and with the rise of drill music and social media, all tried to use rap as an outlet to shed a light on the real stories of the streets. The rap clout would bring the social media clout, and with the social media clout would usually result in people dissing their ops, and that would eventually lead to violence like 95% of the time. 800 TJ was straight known for this. The majority of his focus though was on members of 079 Bloodhounds like Lil Jeff and a whole bunch of other people. You can see bruh basically made it completely known he was happy though that the infamous shooter Jeff was gunned down while trying to take out his ops like a year ago, straight dissing him on the regular. However, that celebration was short-lived. 800 TJ, 800, and Mo NLC apparently didn't have that bad of a relationship shortly after Lil Jeff died, but a shicey incident by the Backdoor King himself allegedly stealing a firearm and a gun deal gone wrong apparently took things in the complete wrong direction. 800 TJ, apparently looking to clout chase, when meeting up with GKANE trying to purchase a gun. He allegedly upped a pole on him outside of his mother's crib and stole his gun. This was not taken kindly by GKANE, and he pretty much was tweaking on IG Live for days. In one of those lives, he straight up gave bro 24 hours to return his gun or have to answer with his life for it. Eventually in a later live though, he would change this to 48 hours, so I guess it wouldn't look as crazy if it really happened or something like that. But in an eerie twist of fate, in about 48 hours, a crazy broad day shooting would claim the life of 800 TJ. The ominous live would have real world consequences 48 hours later, which we'll get into in chapter 3. 800 TJ, being one of the biggest ops in the city, pretty much shrugged it off and seemed like he didn't really care too much. Still doing his usual routine, going on live, trolling his ops, which he had a bunch. Pretty much the gangbanger starter pack in the drill world nowadays. But it seemed like while he's looking to enjoy his new blick, GKANE would be looking for him in his area. One day in July 11th, 800 TJ would be riding around on an IG live for a long time, even taking the time to bump GKANE's music on the live straight to troll. 800 TJ would go on one more IG live where spectators would pretty much tell him that GKANE was looking for him, but he still didn't heed the warnings, but it was too late.
We now know the name of the person killed in a shooting yesterday on the Dan Ryan Expressway. This was the scene near 87th Street. The medical examiner says 22-year-old Ty John Bush died after getting shot on the Dan Ryan. Police are still searching for suspects and a motive.
At around 5:17 p.m., police responded to a shooting literally on the Interstate 94 northbound between 83rd and 79th Street in the Chatham neighborhood. Despite first responders' best efforts to help, 22-year-old Ty John Bush, aka 800 TJ, didn't make it and was dead on arrival after taking several gunshot wounds. Literally within hours of this going down, GKANE, aka newly minted Mr. 24 24 hours would literally post his location, tell the rest of the snakes to pull up on him, saying he got his gun back. On top of this, he would end up dropping a song called Missy 24 Hours and also do a round of interviews as people begin to notice how fucking crazy of a situation this is. This sounds like a legit movie, bro. Tell me you ever heard someone go from friends to getting smoked in just a couple days just because of crazy shit that they did. I guess the constant looking over his shoulder though and constant threats eventually got to bro because he eventually moved to Houston, Texas. Unfortunately, he got a gang of charges in that time, got locked up, put in front of a celebrity judge called Judge Fletcher, and basically got extradited back to Cook County Jail for murder. Casuals. Honestly, this whole situation is crazy because this kind of just shows what goes wrong when you try to clout chase, and at the same time it kind of shows what goes wrong if you really trying to prove a point to the point that you'll actually kill someone and then throw your whole life away just for disrespect. But at the same time, I mean, I guess you can't 100,000% blame someone after they got a gun pulled on them and they're really just from this type of area. I guess that's the only way to really settle it. But at the same time, there's not really any concrete evidence that's been released that really shows that he had something to do with it. Allegedly, there's some sort of cell phone records, like he had a phone while doing it. Police were able to see their text messages. I wouldn't be surprised. This is all from like Lady Snake, which is like one of the people associated in that whole 800 gang. But I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised just based off of how dude was pretty much claiming his work, saying that he had something to do with it without saying it. But I wouldn't also be surprised if it was just clout chasing back. Even though bro didn't really seem like that much of a clout chaser before all this, it kind of turned into it. I guess people thought he was sweet and thought he wouldn't do anything. And then look, pretty much anyone could get pushed to this point, especially when you're in those type of environments, man. But hey, let me know in the comments what y'all think really happened. Let me know if you think it was him or he just knows who did it and he's gonna take the fall for it. Let me know what's good. If we got anything wrong, tap into that merch at staysafeworld.com, link in the description. I'm gonna throw that in there. 5% off, 10% off, I don't even know. We'll see at the end of the video, man. I might just do a little discount so y'all could cop some shit, man. But hey, tap in, man. Stay safe world shit. Peace.